Well, hello and welcome back, everyone, and welcome to a new build. This one's an interesting one that I was always wanting to build since I seen it. This is the Fondor Haulcraft from Andor. This is Luthen's ship. This is a very cool ship. This one here's designed by Jeff's 3D Creations. You can find him on Etsy if you just look up Fondor Haulcraft. He's one of the few that have one. And this one, I think, has the most detail. Plus, it has all the little hidden ornaments that he had, like the things that flip up and shoot all the things at the tractor beam. What he did is he gives you the grates in case you want them down, and then you can pop them off and then put with them lifted. He gives you the gun turret that appears on top, the lightsaber like lasers that come out the sides are there. So I'm going to see if I can think of a way to get a light in there, at least to have them light up. I don't know, we won't have a beam to come out. I could always print a clear piece that comes out on each side. I don't know if we could get it to attach and then pull off. I mean, if I wanted something permanent, but I think I'd like to have this switch between the two, stealthy Fondor Haulcraft, or I can have it set up to be like he's has all the ordnance out and is fighting. But it's pretty cool. It comes in I think he gives you three. It says two scales, but I saw on the files that I downloaded a 100 scale. But this one I printed is the 72nd, which gets you about, I think, 300 and some millimeters long, 288 wide. So it's going to be a nice size ship. These are all the hull pieces. Well, most of them, I think. I think there might be a few more. Here's the front of the ship. That would be where the cockpit is. So these are mainly a lot of the hull pieces. No major interior except for I think you can see a little bit there is a little bit in the cockpit area when you're looking through, but the rest of the ship is just hollow box, but just okay. And I think it does have a lift gate, if I'm not sure, and it has landing gear and stuff like that. So just cleaning up the parts and looking at it, it came out. Yeah, the 172nd came out really not too bad on the bamboo on an FDM. It'd probably be really nice to resin print. But these are the first pieces they're saying, and he comes with instructions too, real nice instructions. And he even tells you he has it set up so you can run wires, so there'll be little channels to get out to the wings and to the engines. You got three engines, you got two on the wings and then the one big one in the back. The other thing I gotta see is, do I need to get that in there first? Because it looks a little V-shaped. I believe this is the one. These two are almost identical. Could be this one. I'll have to look on the specs here. So I think this is something else. It looks like this one. Yeah, because it has that kind of cone thing going on right here. And is it a V shape? Yeah. Where this one's a little more square. So that helps. I try to clean all these up before I turn the camera on. It's kind of boring parts for you guys. But I think, which ways that go? The cone's kind of towards the wire end, like this. Yeah, I don't know if once you kind of can. we can kind of get it started and then do that. And then we got to make sure this hatch will fit. And I think that goes like this. I almost have to get some of that put in beforehand here. I think that there it goes. You gotta snap it so there's panel lines there because you can get it down there. But yeah, you gotta kind of give it a good press to get it in there. But that's now let's see if it'll. Yeah, still got a little cleanup to do in these corners. That's probably what's going on here. It's probably because it just had the build supports there, so they're probably a little extra plastic that didn't pop off yet. This side looks good. Looks like you got to kind of come in like that and slide it in. I don't know if that worked. And then I got to set that door correctly. Because you can do the hatch in one piece or you can break it up into three. Let me show you. These are our three pieces. I figured this would be a better way because then the way it was shaped, because it's kind of shaped like, is this way or I think this is this way? Yeah, you'd have all this and that. It would just never print flat. But just having him separating, having another version that you can separate, you can have all these sit flat and then they'll print nicer. So that was really genius in a sense. So we'll just do it this way. Plus, at least with the Gorilla Glue, it'll give me a chance once I center this in there to still spin it. It almost looks like it's best to get it in here first. So this should go like that, and then we can pop it into where just want those little details in that panel to line up because he kept it smooth down below. It's kind of hard to tell. Is that the level plane? Like if she sits, or does she kind of have a downward thing going, like an angle? I might try to turn this, but it wants to turn the whole thing. I want to bring this back just one click. And while we're doing that, let's get a little glue here. Oh, did I do the wrong part yet? Ay, ay, ay. Nice thing about these glues, whether it's epoxy or whatever, is I can clean them off while they're still uncured. There we go. And I think we, like I said, we can slide that in afterwards. So the next big thing, let's make sure we can get all this down. It's oozing out everywhere. That's great. Make sure everything's, yeah, it'll still look good. Like I said, I'm going off that detail. It's right there. Perfect. Yeah, and I'm getting that squished down, and that helps that front end line up better too. We just have to give a good clamp. Okay. And then this is supposed to drop down like that. Oh, not bad. And I'm going to use my old trusty two-part because I know it's going to set up actually in 5 minutes. Even though that Gorilla Glue says it's a 5-minute epoxy, but yeah. Good luck on that. I think hit most of all the areas. Yeah. I don't know if I have a clamp wide enough here. There we go. I wonder if I should get that part in there. And we're lined up pretty nice. Yeah, a little torque that way. Are you still fitting? Nice. What this torch does is it gets rid of any little particles, and sometimes even if you just lightly scratch and you get that little bit of a white scratch, it'll get rid of that as well. I'm just going to put a bunch here, and then we'll mix it here, and then I'll put a little bit on across that. All right there, Jack. There we go. I think we put a little detail. Is that this one? Yeah, in that one. But I'm wondering, well, can I slide it? All right, that's like that. They were showing the cone that way. Can I still slide it in there? Yeah. Now we'll just put a little Gorilla Glue in. And I gotta remember this. Gorilla Glue comes out very quick. All right, so it looks like that little cone detail was towards that way. So we don't plow too much of it. Ah, that's perfect. That worked great. That worked great. And I did throw a little bit there. I just got to clean this little detail, see which way it's facing. I think these go like that. Yep. But he does give you some pegs here, which probably fit filament. That's how everybody usually does it. You got extra filament. Yeah. Stick them in there. So that's something we can do. And we'll use super glue for that. Well, I like how he made a double edge, like his stuff locks. That's really nice. I don't know if you can see how it comes in, goes up, and then comes in. So you have a channel like that snaps in. It's not like they're just butting on top. They kind of interlock, which is nice. All right, and then I'll back it up with some Gorilla Glue. All right. And I do like how those fit in there really nice. You actually have to slide them in. You can't just pop them in that way. Because it does add, once those glue, it adds another little structural. So, all right. I guess we could, well, we'll tape that because clamps on angles or curves don't, they don't ever stay. There we go. All right. I think that's all there is to that part. Yep. Now it looks like we'll probably be dealing with these. Yeah, I think this goes, yeah, that goes like that. And then you got those pegs, so that helps you. And eventually this will probably go like that, I would think. So I don't think this has a crucial time to set up. And plus, like, I can hit the super glue there to hold it tight. Or at least to keep it in until it cures. I mean, these detail parts will pretty much hold themselves in as long as these top pieces, what's sandwiching them, because they're, like I said, they're in like a little groove V. Now it's starting to look like something. Tape here. And a little bit here. Make sure everything's lined up. Yep. Beautiful. All right, we're just doing little sub assemblies. And you, I'm not sure. Except that I know you're eventually going to go here. Okay, I got, like I said, I got all those glued together. I think you were there for all that. And then I worked on the front, which was really just 3 or 4 pieces. 4. We had this one down here, this piece here, and then this one here that I have taped down. This one I super glued so it'd stay because it just kind of just rested on there. Make sure this is back all the way where it should be. Yeah, so we got to let these cure because I need to print a little piece here for this for us to continue. And then we can actually start putting all these assemblies together, and then all these pieces, these 3, go on there, right up on the top, or 2 of them go on the top. This one does. Looks like I'm missing a part. I thought I had all these together. This is the underneath. Boom, boom. And I'm missing that one. And then this is the top. It should be 2. I have top panel 2. I need top panel 1. I thought I got all those, so I'll have to look on my plate. And then these go to that. I could have missed it because there was a lot of different parts. Yeah, so I'll have to. I think I need. Yeah, this is that, and then I missed bottom panel 1. This is bottom panel 2 and bottom panel 3. And I'm just missing one of the tops. Yeah, I don't think I put them anywhere. Nope. Okay, started getting these pieces glued together. They're I just put these 2 halves. It kind of goes like that. And here's our little cockpit area, which will get a floor and some consoles and stuff. But all these are together. All these little pieces. We just got these pieces that go here. They will go in there, but I'm wondering if for like kind of like spacing and everything and alignment, if I get these triangular ones in there, that might help everything align up, and plus glue all this together at the same time. Yeah, that's how that one goes, I believe. Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. So I'm gonna put it right down on here. And this should hold it all together really well once it cures. Be careful the walls because it doesn't cover all of it. All right, I think we get this one up there first. We'll have something kind of to get us level that way. And this one. This is already being difficult here. There we go. Yeah. That made a difference. It notches under there, so that's cool. careful of that little window of arm there. I should probably then get a piece of tape and just wrap right around here to keep all that tight. Or can I? Oh yeah, there we go. We can do a clamp right there. That's beautiful. That's what we're going to do. Bam. And then use those to line everybody up. Yep, that did the trick. Sweet. Yeah, and it looks like, I mean, they definitely give you a tunnel. So you could get some power up here. So I'm going to decide if I want to just put a light up here. There's a console that goes across here and it kind of comes over here in his control yoke. And then there's another little console area here. I might be able to run something on the floor down here, make it look just like wires. And it'll be, if I anything, it'll be those tiny little SMDs. So you won't even see the wires once you paint them. Plus, you got your consoles and everything are going to sit on. I think it gets a floor piece too. So I could even etch a little groove to get power over on this side. But yeah, you can go in that tunnel, and it looks like the best way route is right through there. This one kind of closes up as it goes back. It gets like that. Because I think here, oh, this is probably I'm going to want to putty these up. This is probably the landing hatch. That's your docking bay. So this would be the landing area. Where the landing ramp comes down. But yeah, you'll be able to come into here and into the centerpiece. They did make a hatch so you could do a battery, but it's like I can't even fit like a little double coin battery holder in there. See, I'm hitting this. This is going to break. If not, I might have to reprint that part. I'm going to wait to put this on anyway. Because then if I do need to, I can pop that piece out. It just slides right in there and then print a new one. I should have held off on that, but I wasn't sure if I would be able to get in there. But since I'm going to wait on these pieces here, this one goes here and this one's there. So we can wait on these pieces. That way we always have an access to this cockpit anyway until we do the floor and all the internal parts. You do have a hatch, and they made it so you could twist it so it locks and you can unlock it and lock it. I can't even fit a 9-volt battery in there. It's just not enough space inside that. Where's the part? Here it is. There's just not enough space in here. The walls are right in here. And then I have a double coin, which I think can kind of fit down there. It might. It's hard to tell until I pull these, all these out. If I can get it fit down in there. All these supports, they're kind of out blocking the hole. This just printed today while I was at work. But I have one of those double coins with a switch. If I could get that to fit down in there and still be able to get it out, because you got to get it like exact. If I can fit that down there and get it out, I wish it could come sideways, but like I said, they don't leave you a whole lot of, there's not a whole lot of room. 9-volt won't fit in there. I don't think this goes on the bottom. The top part is solid because all it has is the gun turret. And this is the top. That's just going to have the gun turret, so they didn't really make any more room. I don't think 9-volt would stand upright or even lean. But there's a lot of things I want to do with the engines, or and I might. Because I want the engine as a flicker. So I might just what I might do um, is I could put a connector here, so then I could print a hatch with the post to have it set up in flight if I want it on a stand and flying like it's flying. But if I want to put the landing gear on and have it down, I can pop that off, pull it out, unconnect that part, the stand, and I could always just print another hatch that goes in here and shuts, or maybe even just run a little battery supply 9 volt if I want to take it to a show and not have it on a stand. I could do that. I think that's what I'm gonna do. You give me both options, and I'll just put a connector on and either plug in a battery or plug in a stand, which will have a 9 volt power supply. But I just wanted to show you where I would have showed you this, but some of this is so figuring out and definitely a weird configuration how it goes together. But once it's together, it's like, okay, that makes sense. Um, but it's looking good. That's a cool front end. I think I can remove this one, or at least take it out from there. And I had a little trouble getting these to push back. It's got a little gap there, but I'll probably these are in panel lines because you can see the little notch, that famous Star Wars notch they put in panels. So this is supposed to be a panel line. So what I'll do is just take black tulip or any tulip if you're going to paint over it, and you put it in there, and it fills the seam, but it settles a little bit enough to make it look like a natural panel. It might be a bigger panel, gap, but it'll look nice. Up top it looks okay. We might still do a little bit there once. And all these up top are nice. So, and the greatest thing is that hides a whole bunch. Just a shame that there's a panel seam there. But that's all right. We can hide that. This probably is going to have a lot of weathering in this area if I remember correctly. And then this here gets like a hump, like a almost like a falcon going to its cockpit. It has that little hump. It's actually pretty much almost exactly like that. So I guess we can. That's the top ones. I guess we can do these bottom ones. I'm still kind of using that for that, but I don't think that matters with the top pieces. Now that I got all this together, I don't think that matters with the top pieces. All right, so they're saying you're in the front. Get a little notch out of here. What is going on here? You're plugged in. I mean, seriously? You're plugged in. That's my, instead of having to keep going over the computer, I got this cheap, just Android pad just to have instructions and reference photos, and I need to start using it again. It's just a cheap little pad. I don't need to do any processing. It's just looking at images that I can do right here bigger than using my phone all the time. All right, and this I'm just going to use Gorilla Glue because it's really sticking in there. Hi, Jack. Kitty, kitty. Get some down in there so it all seeps. It seeps down there. It's only going to make it stronger. There we go. And this might help with lining everything up with these tops and bottoms, making sure nothing's twisting, and we're really happy how this is coming out. Very good design. Jeff's 3D Creations on Etsy, where you can find us. I must have hit that again. Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to have to replace you. Because until we get the other canopy on there, it's going to get bumped. Yeah, as you can see, I don't know if you can. There's a floor. It looks like, I don't know if the chair goes, like can actually slide in that little slot so he can access the computers there. And there's some there. And then you put in the door in the back here. But I might be able to sneak, as you can see, I might be able to sneak some, at least this console, but I want to try to get one over here. And I can always print them in clear. Just stick one light or two lights buried in the clear uh, plastic, and then just hit it with black to light block and just scratch the buttons that I want to glow. And then the monitors I could always tape off too. That's kind of what they used to do on a lot of that stuff. I know what's his name who built the T6 shuttle. That's how he gave some lights in the controls in there. He just made the whole console glow, hit it black, and then scratched off where he wanted what buttons he wanted to light up. Same thing I did with my Falcon because I got a 3D printed console to get a more accurate console. And yeah, I just put a light in there to glow the whole thing and then scratch buttons. And then I actually ran some fiber optics to have one flash, which you could do with this too. Hide a flasher back in one of these cubby holes, especially since I printed in black. That's kind of one of the main reasons why I print these in black. I wish, I don't know if black styrene is more expensive. I don't know. I wish more companies would actually do that instead of trying to mold stuff in the colors. But that's why I like the Katinga was nice, and Chronos One I believe is the same way. They know it was going to get lit, so they inject it in black. Then it's this one, and that faces forward, which would make sense, and the size it fits because it all steps up. Now is that left open? I think so. That's your bottom. Hmm. Well, we don't want to see all that. Oh, landing gear goes in there, don't it? It's the thing of not being so familiar with this craft. There might be a landing gear or a door. Yeah, landing gear goes in there, plugs into that. Are these movable? Or do you have two? Front landing gear drop, landing gear front retracted. You might have to print two kinds, which is fine. We'll see how that works. But I think we can get away with not. If not, I can sneak some putty in there. But yeah, it's actually a good thing to get these in here. It's going to make everything line up. So we won't make a goopy mess in there yet, because I'm not sure how any of that's going to work. You see now it fits in much smoother. It probably already shifted the parts. So it might be good that we're using 5 minutes epoxy because I still have, if you really force it, it will still move a little bit. All right, and then this, what are you? I'm sorry, hold on. Okay, sorry about the phone, but I just wanted to make sure how this was sitting is correct, and it's on there, so it's looking good. So there's the bottom, and that'll be the front landing gear, and I guess the back ones are back here. But it's coming together really nice. And once these go on, that'll give it that rim. Does it ramp up to it, or looks like it ramps up to it? Yeah. And this one goes here, fill in that part. Yeah. So yeah, the bottom of the hull is looking good because there's more actual pieces. For here, we still have all this open. The sides there. That was a good time to go through and clean up all the weirdness. Just a light heat will. You don't even have to really touch it. It just cleans up any of the weird things that are going on. Just got to watch it around parts like that. Start working on this center half. So it seems like these go together, these go inside, and then they're going to be able to slide, probably to pull the wings out further for different modes of the wing. So I guarantee that's what that is. Yeah, they ride in those channels. So I'm going to want to clean them a little bit more. They sit in like that, and then they can, I believe, go back and forth to let the wings do what they need to do. It says leave those loose. You just got to make sure we have them going the right way because you got two different. That's probably a wire chase to get, if I remember correctly, get wires out to the wings. Yeah, that's probably what that is. And then that's where it hooks and actually notches into it. So that's that, and we gotta clean these up. But well, I guess I kind of got to do it now, huh? Now we can actually glue these together, and then these actually butt. That must be a stock. Okay. And these are already cleaned up and ready to go. I don't know which one's what. They're pretty much identical, but flipped in reverse. So that's the top. So this will be like this and this. Okay, so these both go like that. So as long as you have that like that, that's your tops. And this is probably the other cushions for, I bet you, the landing hatch. Yep. So that'll go in like that, and there's your landing ramp. And then there's the padding. And on this side, we want to putty those up because they printed like this, so they get that little rail grid looking. So we can just hit that with a little perfect plastic putty. Works great. Okay, so that makes sense what that is. Oh no, it's gonna slide in one part, so that's kind of neat. Yeah, and then that way you see that detail when it comes all the way out. But then there's like cylinders right here that didn't have a hatch that let that laser out, and then the wings attach on that. I wonder if it will actually be able to come. I don't think so. I don't know if it can go. The wings can kind of, like when it's landing, it almost uses the wings like a shield of the whole ship. We'll see. But that's how that goes. And then you go that way. Okay. So we can pin these guys. Make sure I cleaned out all these little pegs. It'll keep these from twisting. don't need to be long. Like I said, all they gotta do, and then make sure you put it the right way. The only problem with a filament is you sometimes have a slight curve in one of them. That doesn't work with yours. There. Looks like we had a little lifting. That's what happens. I probably forgot to put a little. I mean, it had a brim, so it really shouldn't have as bad as it did. But a lot of times I'll put those little. If you don't want to print it with a brim, which you probably could get away with this piece, on the corners you can put little Mickey Mouse ears that keep those corners from lifting when it goes. It lifts those corners up, kind of like this. It'll when it's coming down and then go this way, it'll pull this up, and that's what gives you those little lifted where it's nice here and then it lifts in those corners. That's where those little Mickey Mouse ears work. It looks like we have these holes. I probably got to find the holes for that. Should be two up. Let me see one there. That was the top one that has two. The bottom one might just have one. Yeah. If I get the top two, we should be good. So let's get this together. Squished and smooth. It don't matter because it's all. And these give you chaser ways. Like that's probably going to be the way to get up. Is that going to be the way to get it up front? Or... Well, this will sit. I think this is the back. And then this one goes here. Yeah. Okay. Now, if I can find a bottom, it might help hold them together. So, and I think these are pretty clear. Make sure, because sometimes they oval like that and won't let a part in of the filament go in there. No, they're fine. Make sure we have this right. That's all. Yeah, and then those cushions line up too. So perfect. I'm finding if I can just push the button in a little bit and just pump it like you were supposed to do when it had the point sticking out further than it does now. Well, now it doesn't even have it all. Now you gotta go in there and push it. If you tip it upside down and do that, it actually works like a door, like it was originally supposed to, and it was supposed to dribble down that point. But that point, being that it's plastic, just disappears. Even when you were just going like this, pushing down, and then it would wear it away. All right, so we got that. Now we can. I mean, we know that this rail's here at the top. We know that's the top. So we can do a dry fit. Yep, that works. And then those will, yeah, those will just go in and out. Oh, and that stop keeps them right to there. Perfect. All right. Start mixing up some epoxy. Now I'm going to try to hit some super glue on those points. I don't know if it got any on there, but all right, you are the top. Let's go to that side. Yeah, we're good. All right, top and that detail showing right. Yep. Beautiful. There you go. Yeah, because if you think about it, I think I can remove this. Oh, look at that. That's why that notches. And it gives you an extra little. That's brilliant. And then those notches. Oh boy, I wonder if that's going to fit in there. That's. And this is how they want it. You add that detail before you add this part. I don't know how good an idea that was. I think we're gonna have a whole lining up. Oh, that's why I didn't clean. See, I was thinking, I don't need to clean those out. Yes, you do. That's some of the brim in here because I made the assumption that things are just gonna get glued flat to it, not go into it. But that's actually a nice little design there. Hey, this guy did a really good job. Yeah, now let's see if that made the difference. Yep. Oh, look at that. Yeah, we're gonna have to print that. It's just so weak. I keep saying that. I'm sorry. I can almost glue that on. Well, I want to get some wires chased up there. Because now, from this point, it would get hard. Yeah, so we're not going to glue that on. We want to get some wires chased from that area up into here. And at least have them sitting there waiting. That's going to be a cool ship. I love all the detail up front. This is one model where he kind of has all the nice little parts. Really nice. All the detail in the front. But there we go. All right. These pieces cured up pretty good. It's actually holding itself together. It's just stuck on there. Yeah, it's looking good. I want to get in here and putty those up, those paddings, so they look like nice like those. We don't want to glue anything on here yet, like I said, till we snake a wire here, and I can do that really soon. I can just tape it here and just have it here sitting, because eventually it'll come in through here, and then we'll have it all junction right in that area. Um, but yeah, this is all held together. Everything's good. These guys slide in and out like they should. But then we have the very rear end of the engine. So I cleaned them all up, got the pegs all ready. These will get glued down because these are the landing gear. And then here's the pieces that go in the back here. Got shot out all those little darts at the tractor beam dish. It's one of his little countermeasures. But then what it does, it gives you both. And then here's the ones to make it look. It'd be neat to actually maybe cut that out and have it actually just lift up and set back down. I don't know if I could do that, but I'd have to make a way of locking it up, which would be the thing, and I don't know how I would do that. Almost need it to have something down here so when it comes up, it clicks. But also, I think if I had that going up and down, let's see if that goes down. We're getting into close to the engine area. That's pretty. But this will work. I'll put magnets on both of these and just click them in. So if you want them open and like he has countermeasures out, you put that on. And if not, this is the wrong one for the side. You put that grill down, and then it's all incognito. So that's neat. I'm glad he included all those features instead of just having a model, and that's the other reason why I like this one. And again, if you haven't caught it, this is Jeff's 3D Creations. I'll probably put a link, but he's on Etsy, so if you look up Fondor Haulcraft, he's going to be probably one of the first ones. He'll definitely be in the top because there's not a whole lot. Some are just small little one part prints, but his is pretty nice. It gives you a nice PDF with the instructions on how it goes together. And there's 100 and I think 44 parts or something, which he said, which there pretty much is. So that's nice. And he left access ways for lighting, which is great. Yeah, you got plenty of space back in there. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna design something that'll bring the bulbs up to center of this. I'm not sure which way this goes to. I think it goes like that, just to match the detail on the side. And then I'm gonna put 4 bulbs back here, 4 5 millimeters. I think that'll give more than enough light back there. I think 3 would be too little. And the nice thing with 4 is I'll run 2 flickerings and 2 regular 5 millimeters, and then I'll have the main flickerings here in the center, and then have this one kind of like I did with the War of the Worlds War Machine with its lasers to save on my flickering bulbs. I had the one laser go off the one engine flicker, and I separate them so you couldn't tell that they're flickering. So probably what I'll do is whatever I have flickering on left center, I'll have it control right. That way, if these 2 are flickering, you won't notice as much because there'll be these other 2 flickering. But yeah, if you want to save on your flickering bulbs, you can just use a regular old light bulb as a slave in a sense. Your master be your actual flicker, and then you run it in series. So when it brings the power through, the power that comes back out of the negative, it's going to have that pulsing feature already. And then when it feeds the positive of the next bulb in the series, and you could keep chaining on and on. But I want these engines that instead, I mean, you could have it just do one flickering and then do, the other three, but then that would put us at 3, 6, 9, 12. That would put us at 12 volts. And once it feeds out of that one, it'll actually make the other non-flickering a flicker. Same thing with flashing. With flashers, you can do that with all of them, and you just run it in series and run your effect bulb first, and it'll make all the ones after it do the same. So that's what we're gonna do, and I think 4 across here, 2 in the center, you know, 2 here, and 1 here, 1 here. I think that'll give us more than enough. And then I'll probably measure and make a clear part there because I don't think he has a clear part for the engine. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. It doesn't show it, so I know he has windows, but I'm not. I don't think I'm gonna put windows in. Leave them open. Um, what I need to do is get a little vacuum former. Is what I want to do is get a vacuum, a little dental vacuum former because I'm only doing little windows most of the time. And what you can do is just use garbage plastic, but you can just print that window out, and then that can be your puck in a sense. And then you can just have them laying out, heat up the clear styrene or whatever, and drop it on, and it should vacuum form around and take the shape of that little window. So that's what I think I'm going to start doing instead of. I mean, resin print is working good. I got to maybe find a better method to keep them clean or to keep them, because once you wash the clear resin, it looks great when they're hanging there dripping. They're like crystal clear. But the alcohol will tend to haze them up. So it's like, I mean, I use water washable. I'd probably see if I can just water wash it just in soapy water. Maybe that would help. So I should do that experiment because it is water washable. I shouldn't have to use any alcohol. I like to add a little alcohol anyway just to help clean it. But I don't need it like I don't need my wash bin like with the standard resin. I don't need my wash bin to be all just 99% isopropyl alcohol. Spraying them with clear helps. Maybe I'll try that after I just wash them in water. I don't know. Dipping them is a pain because unless you have like a support that has just that little tiny point to hold on to dip it, you're kind of screwed that way. All right. So I got the wire, a pair of wires running in there. Got some putty in there. This guy's all glued up. Taped it up, glued those on. But we can actually, now that I have this wire in here, there's no reason, unless I wanted to stick some type of, I don't think you can get one. No, there's no real access in there. But we're going to put our glue on this side. That way I don't get any on the padding on this side for the landing ramp. We got all this here. Tell you what, this stuff lasts pretty good. I know my battery on my camera, that's why I lost me actually running that wire and maybe even gluing this. I'm not sure where I lost the microphone. But I think I overglued it again. But yeah, I've had this epoxy for a while and it really lasts a long time, especially since it's 2 parts. Where's my stir? I need to clean this quick. All right, because we're getting runs going. Oh, yeah. We don't need you in there. And I always forget to check. There's a little light on this Bluetooth part. That's why I like this new microphones. But let me see that I have connection, and I always forget to check. I get rambling. All right. Yuck. Okay. So you go through there. We're gonna have to grab you. There we go. And I hope that keeps us good. What we can do is do this. We can use the weight of the ship since we finally have a flat bottom. So many of these halves, like you had this whole front half, but even these halves, they had like, it's not like they were kind of pieced weird. And you can never really push straight down like this. So now finally we have a flat area. How's our joints looking? Pretty nice. So what we got to do is let's throw some more tape. Help hold all this tight. That's the difficult part because we got the landing bay there. There we go. That's great. And we'll clean those up. Like I said, I'll just put a little black tulip in there and that'll level it out and you won't even know. And then this again, I did reprint this. Yeah, I hit it again. It's so hard not to. It's definitely a piece to leave. But she's going to be a pretty good size vehicle. I should be able to actually take, I would think. He's off. Yeah, that's not bad at all. And I think the wings are a hair longer. Not by much, but a hair longer. It's great. It's a good size. Any real bigger and it would just be extremely huge. What do we got going on here? Where do we have poor? Probably because it built supports right here. Yep. It's one area it's giving me a problem. Yeah, that made it a little better. I have to clean that more. How are we looking at the bottom? Until we get this top. There it goes. Give it a little press. I think we'll let it sit like that so it, as it's still kind of curing, it can cure to itself. Wish I could get a clamp. Grab that. What's going on here? Like we both got a twist. You I could leave like that. There we go. It's gonna squeeze that part. I have anything down here to squeeze this one? Ah, of course not. It's kind of doing it. I'll have to set it on its side. I don't know if I can get. Can I get that foot to get wedged? No. Let's see if I can take this one off. Or will that work? I'm gonna let it. Yeah, you just don't hold on very long, do you? No. I love how they. That's because they're twisting. See how they're doing that? Yeah, that little detail there is effing us. Kidding me. No way. It's something I need to lean against. Maybe Avenger wings? No, because it's going to hit that and then snap. Or can we do this? There we go. This is the second time I have little boogers fall of epoxy. and get it on myself. All right, where are these caps? There's that one. Where the other one went. Probably when these things are snapping off, it probably hit it and flung it somewhere. Well, we'll find it in a little bit. But there we go. We'll let this sit. I found it.